Hello Nippies, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hi, hello, I'm Nips, a freelance artist, and today we are going to be working on the other half of the League of Legends color wheel. And I already did a speed paint / commentary video on the first half, so if you want to go check that one out before you watch this one, please do so. And if you really just want to watch this one, watch some art without going back to the other one, I'll just give you a quick TLDR. The color wheel is basically just an art meme that got really viral last year in the art community, where you basically just draw a character in each of the color slots that corresponds obviously to the color. And I decided to do it with League of Legends characters. And so here we are starting off with Gwen. And I was really excited for this one because she has such a cool color palette and design. I think her eyes are probably my favorite part of her design. And I was really scared because I am super bad at drawing curly hair. So I think her big, fluffy, curly pigtails are such a huge part of her overall silhouette and characters, so I wanted to make sure that I got those correctly, but that I also didn't like straight up over render them, because as you can see here, they're a pretty big part of the drawing and composition, and if I went too far in over rendering them, they'd kind of overtake her face, which is kind of the focal point here, which, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense since these are portraits. You'd want, you know, the face to kind of be the focal point, but it was an extra focal point because I think I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but the lighting kind of just so happened to fall that the light was always coming from the center of the wheel. And so for this one, I was either going to have to do lighting from above or lighting from behind. I had already tried doing some lighting from below and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And so I decided to do kind of this from behind and do like this blue glow from below, basically coming from her pigtails and her eyes, and just like this general blue cyan glow. And in the splash art, she has within the curls this like very bright blue, and so I kind of tried to emphasize that and really add it to the picture as a way to kind of re-inject the cyan, because adding the lighting from behind / above was kind of draining the cyan out of the picture. And so I started to implement that. And I will say, out of all of the colors on this wheel, I think this one and Vi for pink are my absolute favorites, probably for different reasons, but for this one, I just felt like I really popped off on the face rendering. I typically don't do more paintery style drawings, but I've been kind of gravitating towards those. And because this was supposed to be, you know, as it happens with artists, this was supposed to be a sketch wheel, I kind of, as time went on, I kind of just started to refine things a bit more. I stopped at the yellow one, Azir, last year, and I started over this year with green, and I decided to just kind of let myself indulge in the art process. So if I did go past the sketch, I would just go past it. So I think that her face and the rendering on her face, even though it's like kind of no longer a sketch, is probably my favorite. It's also kind of a type of face that I don't normally render, so pretty proud of that one. And then we move on to blue, which is Lissandra. And this one I made an exception for. I don't know if you can call pink Vi an exception, because I ended up doing her Arcane version. And I guess these two were the only ones that aren't their default design. And I ended up picking the Porcelain Lissandra because I just have a guilty pleasure for this skin. I absolutely love the design. I love the concept. I love the color. I just love everything about it. And if you play TFT, Teamfight Tactics, which is just an auto chess battler also made by Riot Games, in the current set right now, there is a Porcelain Lissandra. And so I'm just all over this design right now. And even though I feel like I really like how this looks, I've always talked about how I'm not very good at drawing armor. It's something that I really have to practice, the texture, the form, the volume, everything. But despite all that, I am very, very proud of how this came out. And as you probably saw flashed on the screen really quickly was I have to look up the name, but it's like this 3D modeler that you can look up. Somebody in chat reminded me that this existed because back when I used to do a lot of League of Legends fan art, I always went to this website. And it's basically just one where you can go, put in whatever champion you want, whatever skin you want, and it will give you a rotatable model of, you know, the in-game model. And it's so helpful because if you're a cosplayer, an artist, pretty much anything, it's just so good to see all the details behind, you know, usually behind, because on splash arts, of course, you know, it's really hard to see that. So yeah, if you draw League of Legends characters and you need some good reference, I highly recommend going to that website. Super, super helpful. And this skin specifically, after I finished the whole thing, somebody asked, like, why is Lissandra the only one with a skin? And even myself, after I finished it, I was like, man, I just like kind of regret not doing the original, because even though it looks nice and I'm really proud of it, I feel like the blue, like the blueness of that section is not as strong as the other colors. I think compared to everything else, this is probably the most weak one. Maybe when you see the pink one, you'll probably, it's a battle between those two. But yeah, I think my biggest regret of this wheel is probably the Porcelain Lissandra. I feel like it would have just looked so cool to have the original. And there's just something about having the original designs on this wheel that just hit different. And so either way, I really liked this piece. And I think the hardest part about doing this one was Tetrising everything to fit in this tiny space. Her headpiece is massive. And as you can see, I tried to do this angle where, you know, she's kind of facing outward and having the giant headpiece kind of come out behind Gwen, and then having her hand kind of come forward. Mostly did that because I really wanted to show the sleeve, because there was a lot of blue lacking in this drawing. A lot of, obviously, porcelain is, you know, that like white glass sort of, white glass, listen to me, though this white color / texture. And so I really needed to inject some blue. And I also made the background blue with some, you know, some porcelain patterns from the splash art. So I tried to do my best to inject as much blue as possible. Then next we have Morgana. And this one was difficult because I know Morgana had a rework. And if you play Legends of Runeterra, which I did quite a bit, the art from Legends of Runeterra and her 3D model in the game, and then on top of that, the old design are all very different. And so I tried to kind of make this Frankenstein version of the aspects that I liked about the Morgana and turned it into what we have here. So her wings on the head aren't technically supposed to be coming out from her head, but I felt like they looked really nice in this drawing. So I just kind of like ignored, you know, artistic liberties, okay? Because it just looked nicer. And then I kind of folded the wings in a way that you could see both of them. And the reason I left this giant gap on the right, I tried to put her hand kind of coming forward, so we had a nice like focal point with the chains and everything. And you'll see me here kind of struggling with the wings on her head and trying to decide what to do. And the reason I left kind of this giant gap on the right is because that's where I wanted Vi to be. Because at this point, we don't know it's going to be Vi, but whatever was going to be in pink was going to take up the majority of that section, because I need to semi-plan in advance where my things are going to be. But because the pink section was going to be the last one and it was going to be squished between red and purple, I needed to have some, you know, slightly more foresight about where things were going to be. So I kind of just banked that that's where it would be situated. And you'll see later we run into an issue. But here we are kind of adding some flat colors to the existing line art. I've talked about this before, but I am just a huge fan of momentum. And I was getting so excited with the lines that I already had. I was like, I need to see the colors. I really want to see the colors. So I just started adding them. I was like, whatever, here we go. And adding some more sample colors. I decided not to add lines to the wings because I wanted the focal point to be more on the inside. And I knew that if I added too many details to the wings, I think it would just take away from the pink part. So I decided to just leave it like that. It looked nice, give it a nice silhouette, not think about it too much. And you saw probably earlier, I had a brush that did the chains for me, but I didn't really like it, and it was not accurate to the shape of the chains that she has in her splash and her original design. So used it kind of as a template, and then I went in and redrew it more accurately. And I really liked the background and the original concept of the draft. If you have watched my other video and part of this one, I really love doing color drafts. So what I'll do is I'll do a sketch, I'll do kind of get the general composition of the drawing done, and then I'll set my sketch to multiply and put basically all the colors and shadows as close to the imagined final product as possible. And that way I have kind of a goal in mind. And I think for me specifically, it's so much easier to get through a drawing once I know where I'm more or less headed. It's not that I can't change it. It's that it's just so, it makes my process that much faster because I know exactly what I'm trying to get and more or less the vibe and everything. So for this one, I really liked the background of it, so I kept a lot of it, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I feel like her face is a little stiff, but other than that, pretty happy with how it came out. Here, we are finally starting with a Vi, and as you can see, if you know anything about Vi, I think the most pink thing about her is just her hair. It's just iconic. But the problem with that is, and I'm doing Vi because people voted for it on Twitter, so there was no changing, okay? But the thing with Vi is that the only thing that's pink pretty much is her hair. So I had to make sure that this was like a pretty big close-up, that we can emphasize that. And I used the Arcane one because her jacket was red, and we can maybe sift to magenta, so that way we can really put as many warm pinks and reds as we could possibly muster. I tried to make the background a little desaturated, kind of pink, purplish color, so we can try to keep everything near the same color spectrum. I absolutely love the Arcane design anyway, so you know, win-win. I was thinking about maybe putting the shimmer in the back. I tried to put this like general Zaunish kind of air where there's like smoke, it's musty. And you'll see here we start drawing the glove. And this happened because, like I mentioned earlier, I left a giant gap in order to put something there. And when I drew the sketch for Vi, I was like, fuck, I really, really like this pose and angle and everything. But now I have a giant space that was supposed to be for Vi, and I don't know what to do. And I was like, wait, what if we just put the gauntlet here? And then we make this smoke coming out of it, instead of, you know, normal smoke, we make it pink. So that way we can kind of maintain the color of the area, even though it's, you know, not accurate, because obviously the smoke coming out of her gauntlets is not this color, but it looks cool. It doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to look nice, complement the colors. And so I really impressed myself, not just because, you know, quick thinking, but like I said, not good at drawing armor. However, I really popped off on drawing this one. I really felt like I did all the shapes as much justice as I could with my skill set. And I really liked the composition, the colors, how I shaded it. And so a lot about Vi that I'm proud of, that I like just like Gwen, is just the rendering and what I was able to overcome with the drawing. So pretty happy with that, and everything overall, look at it, I'm so happy. And now it was just a matter of making the whole wheel feel like a finished drawing. So you'll see me here trying to add a lot of things, and just, I did a really cool thing where I kind of duplicated the whole wheel, added kind of this opaque little fill on the back. So it's like a texture to the black background. So it's not just plain. We kind of added this wheel. Somebody in chat suggested using the gold from the League of Legends logo, which ended up looking really nice. And here I am kind of touching it up, making sure everything kind of fits the wheel, cleaning up the wheel. And I think somebody else, getting carried by chat, okay? Somebody else in chat suggested turning it into a cog, kind of like this pilt over situation. So I went ahead and duplicated that wheel, went in using some quick thinking, and then, you know, deleted some parts to make it look like a cog. And here you see the cog. And I wanted to add the color somewhere, and chat did not believe me on this. They were like, no, it's too much, don't do it. And I was like, no, it's gonna look so nice to have the colors complement there. And I finally found a shape in a way to implement them. So I'm super, super happy and proud about that. And everything just kind of came together. So yeah, that is the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put the Twitter link down below if you want to see it there, and my Patreon. Thank you to everybody there. I do a lot of behind the scenes content, my webcomic OFFcell, my sketchbooks. I do art reviews and also sketch requests, safe for work and not safe for work. So if you want to check that out and support there, please do. Like the video if you like it, subscribe, join the Nippy family. We're almost at 100K. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And of course, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you guys next video. Bye.